long today, but just want to talk a little bit about our calendar of events that's going on in the next 60, 90 days. I think 65 days specifically. So, you know, there are a lot of things about leadership, right? You know, obviously you have to lead from the front, you have to be productive, you have to be disciplined, time management. Got to have a good attitude, high energy. You know, can't ask people to do things you're not willing to do. All those things. You got to be continuously getting better, self-improvement. One thing that we forget many times as you pay the price even further is you have to ask people to do things. Some of your asks are small, some of them are big, some of them are vital, some of them are very important, some of them are publicly, some of them are privately, some of them are shamelessly. What do I mean by that? You know, I know Dante, he's not, you know, things are tough for him, whatever, in his personal life, in his professional life, you know, physically something might, I got to ask him to show up. That's shameless. And what I've realized, especially as people get further along in the business, the asks become bigger and bigger and bigger. And in my own life, this is just me, my experience, I've never drifted my way to another level. Someone asked me to make a commitment or do something. No one's ever just, you know, I never just felt, oh man, no, someone like challenged me, something happened to me. But more of the time, more than anything else, somebody asked me. My son keeps texting me. So the tricky thing is, especially, and I'm talking to people that are a little bit, you know, have a little bit more longevity in the business, right? When I first got started in the business, if you guys know this, you know, Mark, who was the guy that trained me in the business, he was a really hard closer. You know, he was, you know, obnoxious, very tough, very awkward. But I learned how to close. And when I say that, right, because there's two very important closes. You know, closing somebody to get their IBA in, and then closing a life sale, right? But there are many other closes that you need to do. We did a whole training on this. It was called the closes that count. You know, you got to close them to go in the field. You got to close them to take the test. You got to close them to show up to meetings. You got to close them to go to events. You got to, you know, whatever it is. Close them to get their next promotion. You're always closing, right? People who ask for things don't get them. People who close for things, they get the rewards, right? So I learned from him, and you know, he was just kind of obnoxious, and so I went a different route, and I went the friendly route. Okay, and I was extremely nice to everybody, and I never wanted to make people feel uncomfortable. Oh no, you're good. You know, yeah, this doesn't take much time at all. You'll be a millionaire, right? Absolutely. You're gonna have a business. Just, you know, and that was my flavor. I didn't say that exactly, but that was my tone. You don't really have to work. You don't really have to show up. If it's ever hard for you, don't worry about it. Kind of the way I parent now. Right? That's how I'm that type of parent, right? And I had a team, and I had like fully licensed people. And they all kind of just, they quit. They drifted off, they quit, and I made a change. And I unfortunately, I kind of overcorrected, right? And so some of those stories that you hear about me, and most of them are true, right? I'm not gonna lie, about we had a very militant type organization, like very, like crazy, if I tell you some of these stories. We locked the doors, right? Within 1 minute, the door was locked. People would be out there and then they couldn't come in. In 1 minute. So we started our meeting at 9 o'clock, it was 9:01, the door was locked, we locked it. We had a glass door, banging in. We had a meeting like this is a true story. We had a meeting like this on Mondays and we locked the door, and so we locked the door to our external office when we had big meetings. But Monday was a smaller meeting like this. So there was a door here and you'd lock it internal. So they could come in the office and you'd open the door after the meeting was over and people would be sitting there on the ground with their notebook just listening to us. Crazy, I'm not joking about this. We would, if you ever came late, you just sat outside, you took notes and whatever it was. Right? So, very just over the top. I'm not saying that was right or wrong, it was definitely fun, it's fun to laugh at now. But what have I learned, okay? What have I learned in both of these kind of extremes? And I'm going to use words that I don't think we're all doing, but definitely have that flavor. When you beg, when you're desperate, you initially are going to get more people to agree with you. But you get more of the wrong people. Okay? When you come from a position of strength, when you have expectations, when you are, and I use this term, right? And I got to be really careful, Samir knows this, because many of you, are going to abuse what I say. But when you're strict, initially, more people will not agree with you, but you'll get more of the right people. And what I've learned in decades of experience, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. It's a fine line. Could that older environment that we had have a person like Sheila? Probably not. Right? Right? I have, if you were not punctual, you would not be part of this team. I have a RVP, got her income, $300,000 of income, could never come on time. Not one time could she ever come on time. Could she be in that old environment? No. So do I want to let a $300,000 earner walk out? Probably not. Right? Now, it's a fine line. Right? Now for you, show up on time. Why? Because if you want to be a leader and have a team, you got to be here. And I'll never forget one time I was complaining about my team. Just normal headaches in the business. I was complaining to, I think it was Bruce at the time, and I was just, he's like, it's your team. You recruited them. Go recruit new people. So you have a team that, whatever it is, doesn't show up to meetings, or they scatter off right after the meeting, or whatever it is that you're frustrated about, right? Obviously today's theme is going to be meetings and showing up. Because, you have a team till you don't. Right? You have a team and they're all for it, then you ask them, hey, we're on a road trip, we got an away game, we're going to states, we're going to nationals, it's a big tournament. You're going to see the other good teams there. They're going to be suited up. You know, we got to go down to Richmond, right? Or Virginia Beach. You knew, like, damn it, this guy's going to be physical. It ain't the pretty boys up here in Northern Virginia, man, when you go down to Virginia Beach. You play them like you're going to get beat up. You didn't want to go. Some people miss the games, conveniently. So we got to go down to Atlanta. And, you know, it's, for me, like, I mean, it's not as bad as, you know, Michigan or Cleveland, but Atlanta's like, nah, I have no, like, but we got to go, man. It's an away game, and it's going to be inconvenient, and we got a bunch of stuff to do, and but we got to go. Because we got to suit up. And so, you know, anyways. So, it sucks, right? I mean, you know, sometimes, and when I say it sucks, because when you don't build yes momentum and you don't ask people all the time, and then you got to ask now, and, you know, when they say no, then you get butt hurt. Right? So let me give you a tip real quick. All right. Especially you guys, because I know I can see it in the registrations. That's why. Okay. I mean, and you know, we still have 65 days to get people here, and I you know, recommend you get, you know, partners and anybody that you can get to travel with you, get to travel with you. It's going to be a life-changing event. Seeing somebody, you know, go across stage, just the $6 million loan, $3 million NSD. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. I'm just, in my 20 years of being with the company, and I don't know how many conventions, 7 or 8 conventions I've been to, I've never seen this. I've never seen the meteoric success. Right? I was telling my group on Thursday, and, you know, it's hard for me to remember this, but so Jen just came back from MIT, which is like a field trip for RVPs. When you get promoted to RVP, they do a trip for you, and it's called Millionaires in Training, and it's everything. You know, they bring probably, you know, the company has $132 million earners, so they bring probably 25, 30, maybe $40 million earners down there, and you spend 3 days with, you know, intimate group, one-on-one, you know, and they, you know, training, lecture, they talk about everything. They talk about office management, compliance, making money, you know, recruiting, building, all the stuff that you need to know as a new RVP, okay? Now the cool thing about this, right, and this is for everybody, is they rank you when you go. And then when you're there, they run a contest. And the top 3 people, based on recruiting, premium, and cash, come back. Okay? And it's like you're the valedictorian of your class. Okay? So it's pretty neat, right, if you get to come back. So I was in my class, and I came back, I was number 1. I was number 1 in my class to come back. So, you know, they introduce you, and, you know, the number 3 goes, number 2, and then the number 1 goes. Right? So I was number 1. I was the valedictorian of my Primerica class. Right? Of all the people that got promoted to RVP. You know who was behind me? Willie. Exactly. Willie was behind me. I don't know if he was number 2 or number 3, but I was number 1. He was behind me. Okay? So just to put in perspective, my yearly income is not his monthly income right now. And I make money. Okay? Think about that. I love Willie. Willie is a stud. He's always been great at this business. But up until 2012 or 13, he was like me. And he got one person. And he's a stud, don't get me wrong. It's not just one person. I mean, his daughter in the business now is a $500,000 earner, so I'm not saying, but sometimes you get one person. Like, I used to do this training all the time. The bulls were never the bulls. They got one guy. The Patriots were never the Patriots. They got one guy. Now, does one person and a lot of other things transform an organization? Yes. So I'm not taking anything away from Will. I promise you I'm not. I mean, and when I think about Willie, am I projecting? Yeah, man, I should have, all those things. But man, if he can do it, I can do something. Maybe I'll never get that high, but I can do something. I can triple my income. So I've never seen the company the way it is. And we're all going to be wishing we had more people. So a little tip on getting people to events, all right? When you want to make this ask, we'll try to help you, right? Tomorrow, we got a whole thing that we're doing, like this, right? I'm talking to you, I'm planting seeds, convention, why you got to show up, all that stuff. And you can do the right thing and get people here. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to do it. And if I were you, and this is what I'm doing, make this ask in person.
Yeah.
Make the ask in person. It doesn't work as well on the phone or a FaceTime or a text message or an email. Sit somebody down, talk to them, map it out, and ask them. And tell them how important this is. One time, I was I don't know how I got roped into this, but I just stumbled into seeing, the person that brought me into the business, his name was Brett. Brett get into, I don't know if you remember this, Samir, I don't think you were there. John Yates, he was an old guy, one of the best recruits we had in the beginning. And he missed the convention. I'll never forget this guy. I got roped in there, and I was just sitting there watching almost like a fight between two people about someone and I'll never forget this because and Brett was trying his best to be patient, to be nice, to be polite, and he just said something, and it just imprinted in my mind. I want you to write this down, and I want you to write this down for your team. I want you to know this, okay? He said, if you don't come, you will die a slow death here. If you don't come, you will die a slow death here. Now, he said it I know this is hard because of the actual words that he said, but with a lot of empathy there. This is going to be a painful thing for you because you're just going to fade out of the business. I have found this to be one of the most accurate statements I've ever heard. This is not an optional event. This isn't a Super Saturday, and those are important. Every event to me is important. So, you have to get your teammates there by any means necessary. And it requires a leader to step up and make an ask. And everybody's going to throw every BS reason why they can't come. And I want you to know, in your mind, if they don't show up, they're going to die a slow death here. I've never seen anybody make it. Never. Not one time. Now, I don't say this to scare or intimidate you guys. Okay? But I want you to know what some of us have done in this business. I've lost 4 RVPs. I've lost 4. And every single one that I've promoted has done at least $20,000 or $30,000, and all of them were making over $50,000. Because it doesn't matter who you are. I'll never forget one time on Monday Night Football, Steve Young was criticizing Drew Brees. Drew Brees has broken one of the, I don't know, I think Brady broke all his records, but he at one time he was the highest pass leader, and he had a terrible season, and Steve Young goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, this game is so unforgiving. He goes, if you don't do the right things, if you don't look off safeties, if you don't have good footwork, if you don't have good hip movement, if you don't make your right progressions, you're going to turn the ball over and you're going to play bad. This is Drew Brees, Super Bowl champion. But it's true. Doesn't matter what those people did to go to RVP. You start missing meetings, you start missing conventions, you're gone. And so, for your guys, you got to ask them. And I know it sucks. We put it off as long as possible, and we'll do our part, right? We've got some things that we're working on. You know, Samir's, working on getting people to, either on Zoom or come and talk to us about the convention. Bruce, people like that. He's working on some stuff. We'll do our part. We're Chamorro. That's going to be a whole section at the big event. Convention. Whether it be Friday or Saturday, he's going to talk about that. But you're still going to have to ask people one-on-one. You're just going to have to problem solve and make the big ask. So we got Super Saturday this Saturday. It's going to be an awesome event. Anybody that's been promoted will be speaking. We'll talk about the lineups. We have stellar incomes, and we'll celebrate a great April. Then we have, if by Memorial Day weekend, I don't know if, I guess it's by Saturday, 1 by 1500, we're going to do a pool party. We'll get a catered food, all that stuff. We always do it once a year. It's awesome. We'll have a great time. The pool's getting open. My pool's getting open tomorrow, so you won't see me. But then we have our big event at the end of May. Okay, so May 31st, Danny Chamorro, one of the top people in the entire company. He'll be here for 2 days, get everybody there, tickets, and then we'll be talking about the convention, and then we have the convention. All right, so we got a packed May. You go do what you need to do. Work hard, get better, improve, get passionate, get focused, use some of these things that the ideas of consistency, new ideas to work, different adjustments that you can make. You're one recruit away. You're one recruit away. Changing your whole life, changing your whole business, changing your whole future. All right, let's get to work. Team on 3.